Rob in Pittsburgh. Hey, Rob, how are you?
Hi, Dave. Pleasure talking with you today. How are you doing?
Better than I deserve. How can I help?
Well, just want to introduce myself here. I'm a third-generation president of a heavy industrial and commercial general contracting firm here in Eastern Ohio, operating out of 4 offices with about 280 employees and a top-line revenue of around $100 million.
Way to go. Very cool.
Thank you.
Proud of you.
Our family's been in business for 66 years now, and we're finding problems struggling replacing seasoned project superintendents. We've had a handful of them been with the company for well over 40 years, and we're seeing the retirements starting to take place, and the promotions are struggling. So my question is...
You didn't have good bench depth?
Well, we did, and we do, but some of it's starting to flounder a little bit. So we're having a hard time promoting and finding new employees from the younger generations with the technical skill set, but also the willingness to take on leadership and responsibility. And what I'm trying to figure out is how can we change or help this?
Okay. How many of those positions that you're talking about are there? 10 or 40?
A little over 30, probably 33, 34, depending on whether they're a site superintendent or a general foreman per se.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the ones you've got in the seat are thoroughbreds currently?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, one of the things we've done in some of our top level leaders is we've made one of their job descriptions, one of their KRAs, their key result areas, to be constantly training their replacement. Even if they're 30, I want them training their replacement. It's one of the things they need to do. Who's going to replace you? And that's bench depth is what that is. And what that does is it keeps leadership development at a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning that current leader's constantly looking at their replacement, and then they start thinking, hey, my number 2 is weak. I may if I can't get them up, I may have to get them out. And like these superintendents, they're really good at their job, but making part of their job mentoring, discipling their replacement. And if they're not, then they're not doing their job. You see what I'm saying? That's a different way of framing the discussion rather than, oh, by the way, you should be concerned about this. No, you're not doing your job if you only manage the job site. If you manage the job site and don't do your bench depth, you are not doing your job. You're failing at your position. And we had to reframe that. We started at our operating board level. There's 14 of us there. And we said, okay, and because my CFO told us, he's the one that woke us up a couple of years ago. He's one of my best friends, and he's been here for 14 years. And he said, since I started in business, I plan to retire at 60. That is 2.5 years from now. I am going to retire at 60. And I went, no, you're not, unless you have your replacement trained and mentored, and they need to have already been in the seat for a year before you leave. And otherwise you can't quit because I won't let you.
And we've done a lot of that too, and that's been with our CFO. He was here for a year. The replacement was here for a year with the current CFO.
See, that's the system you need to implement. With these job supers, because it doesn't need to be a year necessarily, but they need to be able to do that. Because my current CFO is phenomenal, and he was here 18 months under the direct tutelage of the other guy before he retired and walked out the door. And it's been absolutely 1,000% seamless. I mean, so he had the job of hiring the thoroughbred to replace himself and mentoring him, training him, walking him through the weird nuances that are finance at Ramsey, which are weird, I can tell you that. And so all of that. And in the job super's case, your job is to bring these young men along and teach them your skill, or young women, whatever. Teach this next person along, teach them your skill. And you can't do that in 30 minutes during your last 2 weeks.
Yep.
Took you 40 freaking years to get here, And so I'm going to start talking to those guys like I'm going to beat that drum, just beat the snot out of it and make it part of their job. And then go, and, oh, by the way, how can I help you? Well, we got to get some better hires in here. Okay, I'll help you with that. And you got to help me find them too, because you're the super and you know more about it than I do. So thoroughbreds, no thoroughbreds. And then I'm also going to start, are there people in the organization that can jump across the aisle and land in one of these seats if they thought that these seats were seats of honor?
Probably would be going the opposite way towards office and project management more so than to the field and project superintendent. Thought through that process too.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we had some younger folks that,
so they don't come out of the office and go in the field and work very often. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So most of them are being, if there is a field guy that we see as a numbers guy and a finance guy that can move into the project management role, they might move in there. But that's never been a problem finding the estimators or the project management staff. It's always been the field supervision, having that I guess the gritty leadership.
Yeah.
But with the technical side and taking time to train and help people.
Yeah.
They're always wrapped up in the job.
Yep.
And multiple things moving around.
Yep.
So,
and I think I'll go back to what I was saying earlier. Then, and that a whole bunch of this is going to be just setting expectations correctly. That this is part of your job. It's not good enough that you just run the job well. You also have to be looking. And so, my guess is you're going to find the thoroughbreds to put on that bench, probably from subs or competitors.
Yep. That's what we're leaning towards now.
Yeah, you're not probably pulling them out of the office. I think you're right. I think the office guy going in the field's probably not going to work. There might be some field guys that go in the office occasionally, but the office guy going in the field is probably not going to work. They don't like get their shoes dirty. So
true.
Yeah, I mean it's a different guy, a different personality style, or a different way of looking at life, values, and so forth. So that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I think you're probably going to pull from you're going to watch for some talented, a sub that just really stinking gets the job done and is underappreciated at their other place, or they used to be a sub and you don't use them anymore because the quality fell down, but the guy that was trying to do it right still works over there. That's the guy you want because he's dissatisfied too. That kind of stuff. I'm putting them on the bench, but I think the way you can attract them is if you formalize the process enough that you can state it in an outline that says, okay, here's what normally happens. You land on the bench, your pay is X, and after 6 months, your pay goes to Y, and your responsibility changes to this, and the typical person that lands on the bench is fully running a job within 14 to 18 months, or whatever the number is. I don't care if it's 24 months, whatever it is, give them the actual timeline so they can see. It's like if you're a journeyman electrician, you've got X number of hours and years that you're going to be doing that before they put you on full pay, right? You come before you step out of apprenticeship. And so you give them that kind of a system. It's not vague. It says, well, come in and, someday maybe if you just keep working hard, we'll just make you. No. Keep it very specific because that's very attractive to the kind of person that runs a project. They like a system that is self-rewarding, that they see, if I come in here and I learn this stuff, they're going to move me along that bench into the leadership role.
Okay.
I think that'll help you with your attraction, but you got to find them to even have the interview to present that. But I would also then put that in place. I don't know if all that's helpful or not. I'm not that much in your world. I mean, I grew up around construction my whole life, so I got a vague idea of what you're dealing with. But more than anything, it's a bench depth thing. I would take what I did with the CFO, what you did with the CFO, and just apply it to this situation is what I'm saying. And that does make sense to me. I think that will work.